Hey, it's Chance, and you're listening to Eclectica Cafe. Before we start my conversation with the Reverend Horton Heat, I just want to remind you guys where you can find us on social media. Facebook.com/Eclectica Cafe. Twitter, our handle is @Eclectica Cafe. You can download all of our MP3s on SoundCloud.com/Eclectica Cafe, as well as iTunes. And of course, subscribe to us on YouTube. We also started blogging. We've got some provocative articles up on our website at eclecticacafe.com, so be sure to check that out as well. We don't ask for any sort of monetary compensation for doing any of this. All we ask from you guys is that you help us out by liking our content, sharing our content, getting it out there to your friends so that we can reach as many people as possible. So keep that in mind when you're listening to us. We're not asking for anything in return other than for you guys to show us some love and also interact with us by giving us your feedback, commenting on our content, etc. And now, the Reverend Horton Heat.
Howdy, cats and kittens. This is Jim Heath, a.k.a. the Reverend Horton Heat. You're listening to Chance on Eclectica Cafe, the baddest of the bad.
So I'm going to get this out of the way, Jim, and gush a little bit. I've been a huge fan since I was a teenager. I'm a guitar player. I play Gretsch as well, and you're one of my top 5 favorite guitar players, favorite musicians. We actually did a podcast episode a while back where we listed our top 5 most influential musicians, and along with Brian Setzer and Dick Dale, you're right up there for me, man. So just wanted to get that out there.
Oh, thank you, man. That's great company. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, man. I remember the first time I saw you. I live in northern Colorado, and it was around my 16th birthday. My brother-in-law took me to see you at, it was then called the Starlight. Now it's called Hodie's Half Note. I think you still play there frequently. Man, I was 15, 16 years old, and I just was thinking it was going to be like a straight rockabilly show. And when I got there and I saw people with like crazy colored hair, tattoos, it honestly scared the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie. But I mean, it definitely stuck, and 16 years or so later, I think you guys are still the best. So.
Well, that's so nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, what are you up to right now? Are you on the road or?
No, I'm at home. Well, I'm driving down to my studio more specifically. Right now, I'm going to go do some work. We're playing a festival called Viva Las Vegas next week.
Yep, I know it.
And we're gonna do a little bit more of a retro rockabilly set, but we've got some people sitting in with us guests, and so our set's going to be we're doing a little bit different set. So anytime we do that, we like to rehearse for it. So I'm going to go do a pre-rehearsal.
Right on, cool. I've never been to Viva Las Vegas. I saw you guys, I think, twice at the Hootenanny in 2004 and 5, I think.
Wow, that's not bad. Good.
Yeah, those are the only festivals I've seen you guys at, but I've always wanted to make it to Viva.
Yeah, we've never been either. So.
You've never done Viva before?
Well, not the actual festival. We've played there while the festival was going on. But,
okay. And that's Easter weekend, right? That's coming up.
Yep, this coming week.
All right. One thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, a topic that we've been getting into on the podcast a little bit, is the idea of traditional radio, FM, AM radio, and how relevant it may or may not be at this point, especially with Spotify and Pandora. I don't really see it sticking around that much longer. And the radio, I don't really think has ever been too big of a friend for you guys. Like, it really hasn't. I don't know, I wouldn't say it's helped your guys' career, because I've never heard you on the radio, and you're not really the type of band that would be on the radio. So do you see the death of traditional radio as being beneficial to you guys?
Yeah, well, it's been an evolutionary thing for us, because when we first started releasing albums, we got a lot of airplay on the college and alternative radio stations. In fact, we were really charting high on a lot of college stations back in the early '90s. And then, but never really the commercial stations. Well, then we were on a major label, and we did actually have one song, and it was a kind of a swing song called "It's Martini Time."
Yeah, right.
That was getting into rotation in some major market FM stations. And that was before the swing movement really hit.
I was going to say, I thought it was around that same time.
It was before that. It
Okay.
was really 96 or 95.
Okay.
Anyway, but that didn't last a real long time, and long about that time, 98, 99, 2000 was really when FM radio really started phasing out of. They started phasing more into talk and out of music, and then a lot of out of rock too. More into country or pop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, the rock stations were still there. There were still a few. They were still powerful there in early 2000s, but it started to wane. So it's like evolving away. So in all honesty, I don't think we're really lucky. I never really had to think about stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think opposed to traditional radio, I mean, I'll put on a station and you guys will come up on Pandora or Spotify. So I kind of see that. My biggest problem with radio is just that there's such a lack of variety, and it's kind of just pandering to people who aren't really seeking out anything other than what's mainstream. I mean, I don't know, you could speak to this. The radio stations were always kind of traditionally dependent upon labels, record labels, vice versa, and now record sales aren't really as big a deal anymore, so I kind of see that relationship dying along with radio.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird time for music. I mean, all around a weird time for music, because, that right now the highest paid music acts aren't even musicians, they're DJs. Some of those DJ guys make $200,000. It's really, really sick and stupid. And a lot of that has to do, I think, with the culture of instant gratification and computers. People want stuff and want it now, and so when they go to see a DJ they think is really talented, then they see a piano player who is actually really talented. They seem to equate the two, like
Absolutely.
Some guy that can play a record is just as talented as this guy that spent 15 years practicing 6 hours a day.
Sure.
There's, and I know from experience that there's absolutely no comparison, to get to the pinnacle of achievement that a musician like a great piano player, guitarist, vocalist can get to. It takes a lot more than what it takes to be a damn DJ.
Right. Well, and I mean, we'll probably see an oversaturation.
But right now, that's where we're at. These young kids equate the two. The other thing that's happened with computers is that it's instant gratification. They can get their Mac, iMac or whatever, and program some beats and sample some sounds, and they're musicians. When I was a kid, all of us wanted to get a guitar, and every kid had a guitar, but nobody could really play it. And then some kids would brag if they could play 10 chords.
Mm-hmm.
And then some other kid would come along and be able to play Led Zeppelin note for note, just blow them out of the water. And that's not happening anymore. It's like that. You had to really practice to be in a band before, and now it's kind of a, there's still, things have changed, and there's still some obviously great young musicians. And the digital age has helped young musicians have access to a lot of cool music that, frankly, I didn't have access to. I mean, buying records and dropping people on the record over and over only lasted you so long till you ruined the album. And now they have these apps that you can play the part of the song over and over and over and learn to play those guitar parts and stuff. A lot easier than it was for us.
Yeah,
and
Guitar
then having
Smith.
access to all the great old. What's that?
I was saying Guitar Smith is one that I think that comes to mind.
I don't know that one, but yeah, so I don't know, man. I as far as all of that, all I know is that it was at the same time a blessing and a curse. That my band was always very entertaining live, and we made honest albums that didn't really. They never sold commensurate to our concert ticket sales, and a lot of that is because of the recording industry is somewhat of a fakery kind of a deal for almost more than 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so people talk about Pro Tools and Pro Tools is bad, blah blah blah. Well, they had multi-track recording in the 70s, and Led Zeppelin had one guitar player, but their recordings had 5 guitar parts on every song.
Yeah, right.
Their recordings had two acoustic parts, a rhythm guitar part, 2 different lead guitar parts, all that. So I guess my point is that when a band like us comes in there and says, okay, let's just have bass, drums, and guitar. I mean, even if we punched in to fix some stuff, I mean, our recordings are still just a bass, drum, and guitar. So then some of them we would add other stuff layering underneath because we almost had to, because people aren't used to hearing what a 3-piece band sounds like on an album. It's just the way it is. So, honestly, I tell you what, I don't complain about all this because it really didn't affect me that much. And sure, maybe there were some disappointments, but like I said, it's a blessing too because, as radio died, as rock radio died, as we were getting bigger, as album sales crashed, we were getting bigger. As the internet, as DJs came in and took over the music industry, we were getting bigger. So I can't complain too much, man. And it's a lot of it's hard work.
Yeah.
But a lot of artistically, I have been focused on this retro thing that I was doing before anybody else really was doing exactly what I did.
Right.
I had my influence to it. But, so I mean, I'm on one hand, I'm, like I said, blessing and a curse. And I don't think about the business too much. I think more along the lines of just my own business and the business of Reverend Horton Heat. And I do try to treat it like a business, but I don't get off into all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But, the things come and go. The interesting thing now for a lot of these young bands is that they, you can get pretty big just throwing up your videos on YouTube. And so I've got friends that just make these killer YouTube videos, and I watch them and go, wow, how does he play that guitar part? And I've been learning stuff off YouTube now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great tool. Well, and getting back to what you were saying a little bit ago was, about how you've never really been concerned with the radio. I mean, you're one of the few bands I can think of that, like I said, I've never heard you guys on the radio, but if I wear a Reverend Horton Heat shirt, I'll go out in public and I'll get complimented on it. And it's the same with when I wear my suit.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
When I wear a Suicidal Tendencies hat, and I get compliments on that, and it's like, where are these people hearing this music? And it's obvious that you're connecting with people, because people are recognizing it when I go out in public. But it's is it your relentless touring that you think that is maybe helping that, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the thing about it is that I consider, and I think this is where the music in general went astray, is that all of a sudden everybody was focused on being a recording artist rather than being a musician. My art form is music, and music really has very little to do about going in a sterile room and playing a song one time. It has everything to do with getting in front of a crowd, hot, sweaty crowd, and blasting out a set of songs that everybody parties down to.
You can't duplicate that experience.
It's a streaming type of a thing. Music is, once you play a story of notes, those notes are gone forever.
Yeah.
And that's why it works to play the same song you played for 30 years. It still works, but you can't, other art forms, you can't write the same book that you wrote 5 years ago. Once you finish that book or that painting or whatever, that's done. You've got to do something. So it's a whole different art form. And so the way I look at it is for me, recording is, and I'm actually changing a little now, because I do enjoy more going into my studio and knocking around with my old microphones and my equipment and making recordings myself. I love it a lot. But I've got better gear now than I ever did. That I used to be. The studio was just kind of more like making an advertisement for my band, as opposed to an art form. For me, my art form is getting in front of that crowd and playing.
Yeah. So along with that, Jim, what's it like producing an album in an era when your revenue that you're making is far less dependent upon album sales? Does it take incentive away from making new records?
Well, I think in the broader picture, yes. And I think that's the rise of the DJ. It's a symptom of that. Is that, without money being introduced, and they're taking away the incentive for these people to go into the studio and stuff. And well, like this whole interview is kind of a blessing and a curse. I mean, I will say, as far as my business goes, and my outlook, is that with the digital age, the downside is a lot of my favorite great studios, producer guys, and engineer guys are basically going broke. And then a lot of record deals, they don't give you as much money anymore, because all these fans just get Pro Tools and do their own album in their garage or their bedroom. Well, so that kind of gave me the incentive. Said, okay, hey, I'll get my own Pro Tools and we'll just do our own album. And so that's kind of where we hit about 5 or 6 years ago. And that's where. And so now I have my own studio and I make my own recordings. It's really a lot of fun. I really enjoy it a lot. And I've had some really wonderful studio experiences, and I've worked with some of the biggest names ever in the history of music. The music is some of the best, greatest studios in the history of music. Yeah. And some of those experiences were awesome, and some of them weren't that good. But
you guys used to be on Interscope Records, which is one of the biggest labels.
Yeah, right.
And would you say that this kind of downfall or this downslope of record sales is because most of my favorite musicians are all on small labels now, and like you, like I said, used to be on a bigger label, a bunch of others. Is that kind of the direction that everybody's going in now? Is switching to a smaller label where you can have more of
Oh
a...
yeah, they've had to because record sales have fallen off. For even the biggest, I read a Wall Street Journal about concert tickets and record sales. Bruce Springsteen and the Stones are still beating the crap out of Beyonce and Taylor Swift. I don't know if anybody really wants to admit that or talk about that too much. but you know, so the old guys are still kicking ass. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Aerosmith is still kicking ass on these younger. And, you know, we lived for several years in the music industry without a platinum album. Nobody had a platinum album. So it's a weird time, you know, but the one thing about us is our deal with Interscope in 93, I guess, is when we negotiated that. That was the very end of the big money record deals. And so we actually got a big money record deal there. And so we got to experience a little bit of that, you know, how it used to work.
Kind of caught the tail end of it.
But those days are gone. Well, those days are gone now, baby. They're gone.
Yep.
Like the Marine Corps, you adapt and overcome.
Exactly.
That's what we've always done.
So one last thing I want to ask you, and this is a big request of mine, and I hope I see it happen one day, but I want to see two of my favorite all-time musicians, favorite guitar players, favorite rockabilly guys come together. When are you and Brian Setzer going to do something together?
Well, we've done stuff together. We've done a lot of shows together. We did some recordings together that I don't know if it ever came out, but you know what, man? I tell you what, I would love to go out and open up for Brian Setzer for some shows. And but no, I know Brian. He's come and sat in with us and stuff a bunch of times, and that's always really exciting and shocking to the crowd.
I can imagine. I don't know.
Their jaws are on the floor when that one.
Oh yeah.
When he shows up, their jaws are on the floor. You know, he just kicks ass. You know, but yeah, no, I'd love to work with Brian.
Years ago, I was backstage with Scott after one of your guys' shows. I would say this is like 2003, and he told me of a time when Setzer came out and was playing Your White Falcon, and actually threw it up in the air and caught it. And I was like, "Damn, that must have taken some balls."
Yeah, well, he probably could afford to buy me a new one.
I'm sure he could have. But well, hey Jim, you guys come to Colorado, Northern Colorado, a lot. You got a lot of love up here, and next time you're here, I'm definitely gonna.
Up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna catch you next time you guys come around. Hopefully, maybe I can buy you a beer. But if not, I just always enjoy the show. So, anything else that we can expect from the Rev? You got anything else for us to look forward to as far as new albums or anything?
Well, we're working right now on trying to record a new album, and we don't. A lot of our songs are just in the infancy of ideas. So I'm not sure when or how it's going to happen. You know, every time at this stage, it's like, oh God, how is this ever going to really be an album? But then, you know, we keep working and eventually it comes out. But we're going to take some time off. We're going to take a couple of months off this year and try to kick out some recordings and see what happens from there.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much, and thanks for talking to me this afternoon.
Well, hey, thank you, Chance, and keep thinking. Good luck on you play Gretsch.
Right. Yes, I do.
What kind of Gretsch?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that last part. I play the Setzer Hot Rod.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yep.
Well, good. Well, with the Filtertrons, TV Jones Filtertrons.
It was before TV Jones took over. So this is a early 2000s model.
Oh, I see. Those are the early ones.
Yep. But when I was still in high school, I caught one of his Christmas tours in Colorado Springs, and during the intermission, I ran outside. I got the guitar. I came back. I waited outside, and it was freezing. It was so cold, my fingers were sticking to the metal on the guitar. And he came out, and he's like, "Hey, I love the red model too," and he signed it for me, and So that definitely made my life. So,
Wow, that's cool.
yeah.
Well, good. We'll keep taking chance, and looking forward to meeting you up there in Northern Colorado next time.
I'm looking forward to it too.